What's up, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wizards Latest. I'm your host and DC sports fan, Ben Robertson, and on this page, we break down all the biggest headlines surrounding the Washington Wizards. So let's dive right into what we're going to chat about today. First off, what I like and don't like about the Jordan Poole trade. Who are the Wizards' options with the number 6 overall pick? Is there any possibility of the Wizards moving up in this draft, which has arrived here coming up this evening? And finally, I'll close the episode giving you my prediction on this evening's draft and what the Wizards will do with their 2 first-round selections. Make sure to drop your comments below letting me know what you think will happen. You can also, if you're maybe viewing this post-draft, let me know how I did. Perhaps roast me, perhaps drop a compliment. You can also hit me on Twitter at Ben Robertson 32 with your thoughts on anything you hear in the video and maybe even future video ideas. So let's jump right into the Jordan Poole trade. This news actually came out right after, minutes after the premiere of this page was released yesterday. I had just finished wrapping up and shooting the first ever episode, and boom, the Jordan Poole news drops. But luckily, I got something to talk about here on episode 2. So, Poole is moving on to New Orleans, and I think the biggest gut punch here from this trade and this news is, and maybe not as big of a gut punch as maybe falling to the number 6 pick and gonna miss out on Cooper Flagg, but it was a little bit of a gut punch, is the fact that we didn't get any first round picks back in this Jordan Poole trade. And I think after the Memphis and Orlando trade, which sent Desmond Bane to Orlando for a package that included 4 first-round picks, I think all Wizards fans really kind of expected at least some draft capital and hopefully a first-round pick in return for Jordan Poole. Poole's a guy that's rebuilt his reputation over this past year from really where it was when he started his tenure here in DC. He led us on the court offensively, delivered, one of the more memorable moments of the last couple of years with that game winner against the Nuggets this past season. Kind of even was a leader in the locker room a little bit, which is something you really didn't expect from Jordan Poole when he maybe arrived here. Bilal Coulibaly has already posted on his Instagram, kind of just thanking Jordan Poole for everything that he's meant to him. So again, I think it's a little bit disappointing to not receive a first-round pick. Just initial reaction to that trade back for Poole. So while that does hurt a little bit, here's the thing. After exchanging Poole's contract with CJ McCollum's in New Orleans, the Wizards are going to potentially have close to $100 million of cap space next offseason heading into the 2026 draft and campaign. Marcus Smart, Chris Middleton, and CJ McCollum's contracts right there combined will be worth about $80 million in salary, but they're all set to expire. Poole still had 2 years left on his deal, and Will Dawkins, once again, is able to flip a player he's traded for and get some value back and position the team in potentially a really good spot next offseason. And the other maybe factor there with McCollum is that potentially, if McCollum has a really good first half of this upcoming season, potentially maybe he becomes a guy that can get flipped at the deadline in return for more assets or assets back in the draft, but particularly draft capital. I think that's what we're all obviously looking for. I know that's what Will Dawkins is looking for. And kind of try that process you were trying with Jordan Poole, once again, and that, kind of got shut down by not being able to move him to Orlando. Side note, going to be really interesting to see Kelly Olynyk in a Wizards jersey. I'm sure plenty of you remember a 2017 Game 7 performance here in DC, along with Isaiah Thomas. That was just a backbreaker. following up one of the more memorable moments in the last 20 years for Wizards fans, that John Wall Game 6 game winner. But moving on to this evening's draft. And again, let me know down below what you're looking for in the draft. And if you're viewing this post-draft, let me know how I did. We're going to stay tuned. Make sure you stay tuned because at the end of this video, I'll drop my NBA draft prediction. So, options with the number 6 pick for Washington. We discussed yesterday, Ace Bailey has all of a sudden become a very real possibility and maybe even likely to go to the Wizards with the 6th overall pick. There's now several mock drafts projecting him to go in that spot. There's been so much just made about, Ace. We touched on this as well yesterday. Repped by, Omar Cooper, Sharif Cooper's father. The connection there, I believe, Ace went to the same high school as Sharif. So, but not one of the big talent agencies. It's been, again, admittedly a slightly bizarre draft process. It's not really heard of for people just to say, no, I'm not going to work out with anybody. And only time will tell whether, this is going to be a move that's smart and pays dividends for Ace and his team in the future. Only his career will really define that. But I think if Ace is there at number 6, I think Will Dawkins doesn't pass on the talent. I think he takes him, and I think Ace is coming to DC. And again, I think right now that's a very real possibility. That's maybe even where signs are pointing to. The wild card in this draft right now, and the guy that really has been projected as high as number 3 to Philly, he's been projected to fall lower than Ace in the draft, potentially even go 7th, is the SEC Freshman of the Year, Trey Johnson. And Trey Johnson was an incredible scorer at the college level, and the big question is really, can he carry that over to the NBA? Can this scoring ability fit in an NBA offense and fit in an NBA system? Can he work the way he did in college at, the highest level of basketball? Trey Johnson is also a guy I think that has get scouts really excited strictly just off his shooting ability. I mean, 39% from beyond the arc. Last year at college, averaging just a tick shy of 20 points per game. I think scouts love how he plays off ball, his ability to catch and shoot, run in transition, run off screens. But again, kind of the wild card right now in this draft, and there's just a big variance of where these mocks think he could go. Now, I think that if Johnson and Bailey are both off the board, which it's a very real possibility that they're both available to Washington with the 6th pick. But if they're both gone, I think Jeremiah Fears is going to be the selection. The front office reportedly really likes Fears. And again, we touched on Fears a little bit yesterday, but he is just a dynamic guy with the ball in his hands. He can get in the lane pretty much anytime he wants. The big questions with Fears are about his shooting ability, and really, is he an NBA level decision maker and playmaker? So, do I think the Wizards could move up in this NBA draft? Do I think that's still a possibility? Well, I think yes, but I don't think it's from the number 6 overall pick. I really do think that 6th pick is probably going to be one of the 3 options that I just laid out. I think it's more likely that the Wizards try to move up from that number 18 pick that they also hold in the first round. And here's why. I think Will Dawkins, like I said, I think the front office just likes those trio of players, each one of them enough to stay put at number 6, despite some pressure they're going to face, particularly from a team like Brooklyn, who might try to leapfrog them in the draft. Brooklyn has the 8th pick currently and currently holds now 5 first-round picks in tonight's draft. So I think despite some pressure there, I think Will Dawkins will stay put. I think it's more likely that you see them move up from 18 and try to go get a guy like Derek Queen, who maybe I'm just personally hoping for. Keep the Maryland kid here at home. I would kind of just love to see how he would fit with Alex Sarr. kind of, Sar obviously sort of a inside presence defensively and a shot blocker. Queen maybe not above the rim in that regard on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, Queen is really good in the lane and around the hoop, while Sar wants to play a little bit more on the perimeter. So I could just see how that pairing would potentially work really well. Kind of a type of guy each of the other sort of needs to be successful in their career. So that brings me to my final talking point today, and it's going to be my predictions for this evening's draft. Remember, like and subscribe because we're going to follow this video up and kind of break down who the Wizards actually end up drafting. We'll break down why I thought it might go a certain way. But I think we land Ace Bailey in this evening's draft. Ideally, Trey Johnson gets, I think, like I said, I don't think Johnson or Bailey get out of the top 5. Ideally, Johnson and Edgecombe are taken. Utah is scared off by Bailey saying, I don't want to go out west, and his camp saying he wants to stay on the East Coast. And Ace Bailey is sitting there and waiting for us with that number 6 pick. With the 18 pick, and I sort of alluded to this already, but I think Will Dawkins moves up. He's shown in the last couple drafts an ability to identify a player he likes, whether it's been Bilal Coulibaly or Bob Carrington, and go up and grab them. And whether, that may be Derek Queen or Mollywalk, I think that Will Dawkins kind of finds a player in this draft. Maybe it's somebody we don't even really have our radar turned on for, and I think he goes up and grabs them. So again, stay tuned to Wizards latest. We will be dropping videos daily. We will follow this video up and follow up tonight's NBA draft. Tomorrow, we will break it all down. Make sure to drop your comments below. Hit the like and subscribe buttons while you're down there. You can hit me on Twitter, again, with thoughts on the video or potential video ideas at Ben Robertson 32. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.